This video will contain spoilers from the off, so remember, you've been warned. This latest horror and thriller movie called Run Rabbit Run has recently hit Netflix, and it's safe to say that it's had some mixed reviews, and I can understand why. Focusing on Sarah as she was coming to terms with the death of her father, we saw her daughter Mia start to exhibit some strange behaviors, which in turn meant that Sarah's traumatic past started to be resurfaced where many lives were wasted and ruined due to her actions. So with that, let's recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this movie. So let's get into it. Here is Run Rabbit Run, ending explained. The meaning of the rabbit. One thing that I thought was interesting in this movie was the fact that they decided to have this rabbit at the forefront of it. Mia was obsessed with being a rabbit with the mask that she created. The nickname that she would be called by her mother and father was Bunny, and she also had a rabbit which was waiting for her outside of the front of her house. However, it was never really explained or utilized in a way in the movie that made its incorporation feel natural or provided relevance to the story, other than the fact that it was just lingering and wandering around the house, almost the face of something when it would go bad or a haunting scene would occur. Rabbits in themselves in certain religions symbolize rebirth and resurrection. The idea of rebirth was briefly mentioned when Sarah and Mia were in the car, and Mia mentioned how her grandfather said that he would come back as a bird and keep watch over her. Plus also the fact that Mia was claiming to be Alice, which was Sarah's dead sister. But outside of that, the rabbit just felt a little planted there and a tad forced. It didn't really need to be there. But then, I suppose, what would you call the movie? There was no real relevance to its incorporation to the actual story, and if you had have removed it from the entire movie, it wouldn't have impacted the overall plot at all. But yeah, in case you were wondering, rabbits symbolize rebirth and resurrection, hence the title of the film. The ending. As we embarked onto the ending of the movie, the mystery around what happened to Alice was finally revealed to us when we saw that Sarah slowly started losing her mind. The loss of her father was what essentially triggered it and brought back all of the traumatic memories of her sister going missing, but actually being killed by her. It brought it all back to the forefront of her mind. Hence where we saw the two timelines colliding due to Sarah being in the setting where it all happened. There was no real definitive answer on what was going on in the present day. But whilst it was being positioned to us that Mia was the individual who was saying how she wasn't Mia and that she was in fact Alice, Sarah's sister, who died when she reached the age of 7, I think the movie was actually trying to get across to us at the end that it could well have been Sarah who was manifesting this inside of her mind, due to the guilt over the fact that she beat her sister, and then instead of getting in trouble after Alice screamed, she instead pushed her off from a great height. We saw other things that pointed to this, such as us being led to believe that Mia was the individual that was drawing all of the darkness that was present on the back of the artwork that she created, when in actual fact it was Sarah who was doing it, as was confirmed when she awoke scribbling black all over the place. Plus, we also saw her hallucinating and seeing the injuries that Alice had on her daughter Mia. This was a story of grief and how Sarah's actions all of those years ago were still haunting her in the present day. She missed her father following his death. She avoided her mother Joan because she couldn't stand to be around her, constantly waiting and hoping that Alice would come back, knowing full well that she wasn't because of the fact that she killed her. And there was also the resemblance that her daughter Mia shared with Alice when she was that age, just before she died. They were all things that reminded Sarah of the horrific act that she committed when she was younger. We never really found out why Sarah did this, which is a shame, because I thought it would have been good to have understood the motive. My guess would be jealousy. The fact that Sarah mentioned at the start how herself and Pete agreed that Mia would be an only child makes me think that that could be the reason why. Knowing that one could get jealous of the other and ultimately kill the other one, which could have been what Sarah did. Right at the end, we saw Sarah standing at the window, giving it the Matthew McConaughey from Interstellar as she watched Mia walk to the cliff edge with Alice, looking like Alice was going to either walk her off or push her just as Sarah did all of those years ago. I was a little torn over what this meant at first, but I feel it could mean a couple of things. I feel it could mean that Mia is dead. We saw Sarah snapping scissors at her and losing her mind over thinking that she was Alice, so it showed that there were no lens that would prevent Sarah from being violent. Plus, she also had a violent streak in her. Judging by what we saw when Alice turned around in the flashback, it looked brutal. Or it just meant that for the remainder of Sarah's life, she's going to be haunted by the reminder of the fact that she killed Alice due to the uncanny resemblance of her daughter and her late sister, forever having to look into her daughter's eyes and seeing the eyes of the person that she pushed off the edge many years ago. I think I prefer that approach, as it's an ending that's left a little bit more open, and it makes you think about things a little deeper and how haunting the remainder of Sarah's life would be. It was definitely a dark story and a dark ending that was paired with it. Overall review. I thought this movie was just pretty average. There were many good things about it, such as the eerily haunting soundtrack that was forever present, the portrayal of the characters Sarah and Mia, and also the setting in which it was set. However, the downfall of the movie was the fact that it didn't really amount to anything or land with impact. The story didn't feel that fleshed out, and when it was revealed that Sarah killed Alice, it wasn't a large reveal, nor when Mia was walking off at the end. The abrupt nature of the ending is something that I feel worked a little bit better inside of the writer's head as well, because I for one thought that it highlighted that the movie didn't really amount to the potential that it had. The soundtrack is something that I was a large fan of though. There were many moments that were extremely uncomfortable to listen to due to the jarring, eerie, haunting nature of the string instruments that were being used, along with how they were being played. Even the section that accompanied the opening of it set the tone well. The two performances were really good. LaTorre really provided a sense of frustration when watching, which is exactly what I feel her character was designed to do, due to her constantly resisting her mother. She also did a great job at those moments where she would just appear out of the blue. Sarah Snook, with the script that she had, managed to give her all, and you could tell that the quality was there with her. We've seen her in Succession and she is top tier. The scene towards the end where we saw her gradual mental decline and the panic, upset and fear that she had within her whenever she lost Mia, it was something that was felt on all sides of the screen. It's a shame that the movie didn't live up to its potential, as the cast, scenery and score were all on point, so it's just wasted potential. I can't see there being a sequel to this movie, as it just didn't really feel like the type of movie that would have one. I also doubt that it will inspire anybody to make a movie similar. But for the short 1 hour 40 feature, we saw a semi-interesting world with a semi-interesting story. The concept was there. At least we saw the type of mother that Shiv went on to be post the Succession finale. I'm sorry, I had to get that in there. But yeah, I doubt I'll ever watch this movie again. So, there you have it. Run Rabbit Run, Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this movie? Leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.